Good evening, welcome to tonight's Planning Committee meeting, Crompton Town Council, Tuesday the 25th of March. Welcome you all, thank you for attending tonight. Move on to the agenda. And first item is to receive and record apologies for absence for the meeting.
Yes, sir. Councillor Dunn.
Councillor Dunn. Thank you. And item number 2 is declarations of interest to receive and record declaration of interest in any contract or matter to be discussed at the meeting tonight. Is there definitely not? No. Thank you very much. Item number 3 is the public participation. It's to invite and listen to matters raised by members of the public in accordance with standing orders. And just before we go to that agenda item tonight, I'd just like to mention, like I mentioned before, about repeating the same comments over again. It's not really helpful. And what I will ask is people respect other people's views, regardless of what that view is, because, you know what I mean, it's still respected view, whether it be for, against, or so, you know, so that's all I've got to say on the matter, and then we can have some nice debate then. Yeah? So, moving on to that. Have we got anybody wishing to speak tonight? Have we a spokesperson? Have we got individuals? We're quite happy for a nice, like I said, debate, to hear the views. So who wants to set the ball rolling?
I'll set it rolling.
Okay.
Mr Mayor, I raised my hand at the last meeting for the roundabout. I'll still say it. I was born in Shaw. I've been here 64 years now. And since we lost our urban district council in 1974, it's gone down a slippery slope. OMDC just run roughshod over our town. And to think putting a 22-bed HMO in the old health centre is an appropriate use of a building, it just beggars belief. It's facing the War Memorial, the Memorial Gardens, and some vandal destroyed the COVID Memorial only last weekend. And that wouldn't have been a normal resident of Shaw. That
well,
would have been,
we can't say that, you know what I mean?
I doubt it.
That's my opinion. But we don't have,
Yeah,
we can't speculate. It's your opinion, but we can't speculate.
Yeah, well, you've got to respect my opinion.
Yes, respect
I don't
your opinion.
think that's a normal resident of Shaw. I think it could be one of the, I won't say low lives, one of the less unscrupulous characters that now inhabit our town. This plan, I think it's a non-starter in any way, because 22 beds is not feasible. Some of them have all got roof lights. How are they supposed to get out if there's a fire? So my view is that that will get thrown out anyway, but they'll come back with reduced numbers of beds. But there's no communal area either. What are they going to do? They'll go across the road and cause litter nuisances, noise nuisances. There'll be drug paraphernalia, beer cans, and there's children in those gardens. There's elderly people next door in the bungalows and the care home. Yeah. I mean, how many more HMOs do we need in Shaw? We've got the Weavers Answer, we've got Bengal Brasserie, flats on Durden Mews, flats on Queen Street, flats over the shops. There's properties round the back of the Weavers Answer and facing the Weavers Answer. They're all HMOs.
There are. There's a lot more than you think. Yeah.
I'm sure there is. I tried to look it up and couldn't get an answer. And I'm sure you know.
Excuse me, I know because we live there.
Yeah.
And I do know there's also building property there that holds immigrants in there who've had papers removed. So I know in that triangle of area there is quite a lot.
Are you Lisa?
Yeah.
I saw your comment, Lisa. Yeah. But it was your comment that really shocked me because I didn't realise there were that many around there.
I mean, there is a lot of people here this evening. When we were fighting against one of the Weavers, we didn't have anybody come in. It was in the middle of COVID, weren't it?
So this will sneak it through, can't we then? Because there's no protest.
Yeah.
But, you know, the town wants investment. We need to grow the businesses and create employment for our kids. And all they're doing is taking away and taking away and taking away. And there'll just be a dead town that's nobody wants to be near, like Moss Side used to be, like, Barrishaw used to be, Shawver used to be. This town was beautiful. It needs to be beautiful again, and we need to tell all council to do one. in all honesty.
Oldham Council aren't the people who, they haven't made a decision on this yet, Oldham Council.
No, I know
They didn't own the building, a lot of people think they owned it, but they didn't own the building. They're not proposing the development.
No.
It's a private development, this is where we're up against it, because
We understand
these
that.
are private developments.
We
So
understand
just-
that, but Oldham Council has
the
let
power.
all these people open their own HMOs.
Well,
They're
at present, they
wanting
haven't,
power, aren't
with
they?
this one, it's not come before them, you know what I mean? So let's just keep clear on the fact that, you know, it's not an Oldham Council doing this, Oldham Council, it's a private development.
It is a private development, but who's got the power to tell them, yes, you can go ahead? Oldham Council.
Well, they do have the power, yes, so we're
So
open.
that's what
we're
I'm
open.
against.
I would say
Yeah.
whatever decision it'll be portrayed from our town council, and it will be adhered to. There's a lady at the back who's
Yeah,
had it for
I
quite a while.
understand.
I
Yeah.
agree with everything that the lady said at the front, but I would like to also add 22 bed HMO is not adequate housing.
No.
And if you look at the plans, it doesn't look like very much of the exterior is going to be changed. It's not going to look like an adequate home for people to provide for people that's needed. It's going to look like a hostel.
Well, the planning application states that the outside facade isn't being changed.
But 22 beds, that is not adequate housing, that is profiteering. That's it, there's many rooms in a building. There's no care for the individuals that they might think of putting in there. We
The
don't even
mental
know
health
who
of
they're
those
going to put in there.
individuals will suffer.
I don't care who it is, you know, it just shouldn't happen. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
How is Shaw going to expect companies to come into Shaw with buildings like that on the high street? And we've already got problems with crime on the high street, people lying about in the streets. This company specialises in people who've got problems. And all I can see is that there'll be more problems coming to town. And no policing to stop these problems.
No.
The problem is that it's the investment's what's needed, but like I said, unfortunately, no private investor came in to offer any, buy it for any other means, shall we say, because, but, you know, that's,
There were two pre-applications, one for 7 houses and one for 7 houses and 4 plus, so somebody did express an interest.
yeah.
But that someone probably wasn't a friend of
Well,
Lady
we
Mayor of
won't-
Oldham.
Yeah, well, we're not.
I will
you
go
can say,
there.
you can say that, but we can't be taking that as part of the conversation, to be honest.
Moose's chemists were here, they've moved out now
Yeah.
because of all the problems we've got.
Yeah.
To put that there is going to cause more problems.
Yeah.
The people can't even sit in the gardens once that's built, because there were people in and out of that car park before. And they're all old people and they're all sick people.
And I live next door but want to it and I don't want it either.
Prices of houses up.
Go on, go on then.
I worked in an HMO and I saw the effect it had on its local area.
Yeah.
With people bladdered, on drugs, sniffing glue, and they were doing all this on the street outside the building. And the building management did nothing about it. Rochdale Council did nothing about it. And the same thing will happen here. And it's just not on. Something needs to be done about what is happening, Oldham Council's behaviour towards Shaw.
It's not just
They
Shaw.
just keep picking.
No, it isn't, just not.
No, it's not just Shaw, but
It's,
they don't want all these people in Oldham or in Upper Mill where this guy lives, or in Nelson where he's got his postal address.
We'll stick it on Cambridge Street.
Yes, stick it on Cambridge Street.
I think Oldham Council will have a shop next to the cenotaph in Oldham.
No,
I
look at
I can't speak for Oldham Council.
No, I know you can't speak.
Well, you
I can't speak for Oldham Council.
It should be answered.
Take the townhouse spoken to an HMO, or they are doing.
What's that?
Their announcements got to be.
It's not right, so this is basic.
What we've got is, and what is a problem is, HMOs are a needed facility in some areas. They're needed, but
They're not
we
here.
haven't got.
They're needed in Oldham, but they're shipping
No,
them
they're
from
just
Oldham
shipping
to here.
Yeah.
They're needed, and they're mostly needed in places where there's universities, large hospitals, training hospitals.
Have we got any of them in
So
Shaw?
we haven't got
No.
that trouble. What I'm saying is, you know, everybody just said HMO. It is
It's
a needed
this.
facility. It's a needed facility in certain areas.
£1,000 per resident.
Listen,
No, I'm not saying we do, I'm just explaining the fact that we can't say HMO, every person who lives in an HMO is stigmatised as a bad person.
Yeah, but this HMO are specialised.
It's specialised in people who have vulnerability back to society, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, people that are just going to free shower outs and stuff like that, you know, it's just not on.
It's not on
I
the
love Short. I've lived in Short all my life, and at the minute I want to move out of Short because I'm absolutely sick to the back teeth of seeing scroats in the street.
When we spoke to people all week and
It's
that's
just
exactly
it
what they said.
frustrates me.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of feeling of, you know.
I'm just really
You've got kids as
annoyed
well.
at what, yeah.
It's fine.
Red Shaw,
You've got kids.
Yeah, my son's moved
So
out.
can we just speak to one at a time, please, yeah? Ben.
I just want to raise it on behalf of my wife's mum, who's in Burnham House. Her bedroom overlooks straight into this. And I can tell you now, having been in that home visiting for the last couple of days, the residents who are dementia people are clueless. So they don't know. The staff are worried sick about the fact that this is going to be on their doorstep. They have a drug trolley the size of that desk that they go around with twice a day. And they can see that the fear of people from there, and it's not casting aspersions against them, but the fear of those people breaking into those premises at any point in time, because there's actually a drug heaven for people in there. And that's a real concern for people there.
And
Real
5
concern.
bungalows that direct can't be ready.
I only live across the road and I've got 2 videos last year of people trying to break in the back end of my house. You know, and that
I feel for you, can't attribute that to certain people, you can't attribute them, you know what I mean? I just outlining what we can and can't attribute.
Yeah, but can I just say,
There's a lady there who's had her
can't
hands up.
attribute it.
You can't know, you can't, actually crime has got to be proven, not
Crime can be from anywhere, but what I'm trying to say is, this will there's a possibility of
possibility,
increasing.
that's a better way to put it, yeah.
So you can't just discount it.
Not
as,
discounting
we
it, I'm just
can't
saying
say
you
that.
can't just say that, the fact that this will bring crime.
There's a
Possibility, yes, I accept terms like that. I accept them terms.
Having worked in one, I can say it will increase crime.
Yeah. It's not proven, lady there.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah,
Since we've been doing this campaign, a lot of people have reached out to me. Anybody who doesn't know, I'm Dawn, that's been organising the whatever we're trying to do. A lot of people have reached out to me that are absolutely terrified. We've been to people's houses in the last week, and there's 5 that we know of, and 2 in process on Queen Street and on Hawthorne Crescent alone. So why is there already 7 behind there and they're doing another one in front? Everybody on Queen Street, Hawthorne Crescent, all around that area are terrified. They've all been sending me photos, they've been sending me all the antisocial behaviour that's going on. People have got their houses up for sale and they've had nobody.
I sold mine and I thought, do you know what? You're not pushing me out and I took
Since
it
that
off.
latest one's
Not
gone
doing
up by
it.
the
I'm
HMO
nearly done.
guys on Hawthorne Crescent, nobody has had a single viewing of their houses facing, and there's a few up for sale, and they're all absolutely disgusted that nobody wants to buy their houses now. There's another HMO popped up, and if this 22-bed one goes up, they've got no chance.
They've already got problems with the first choice home tenants in some of them flats.
Yeah.
So what you're basically saying is your grounds are like overdevelopment.
Absolutely, yeah. I've even been on the Oldham Council websites, and it's not completely transparent, but I've been looking where the other HMOs are in Shaw, and I'm shocked at how many there are that I didn't even know about, that are all behind closed lines.
Why
I can't believe- I can't believe there are so
Well,
many.
it's to do with, you don't have to, it's the permitted development rights and the fact that you keep them under 4 bedrooms.
You still have got a licence,
600, yeah, well, maybe you can apply for a licence, but they're not to ask you about that licence till, you know what I mean? The gentleman at the back.
Hi, I live in one of the bungalows facing, and I can honestly say the people that are next to me, I'm in the middle, are absolutely terrified. I've had my van vandalised many times on air. We know where that comes from. It's the same sort of scenario. This will just be, it'll just be fueled with crime. I've already inquired, can I get out? And I came here 15 years ago, loved the place. But it's gone downhill so much in the last, I'd say 10 years, it's unbelievable. You see beggars outside, there's drug deals going on, you'll have seen that. I see drug deals every single day at the bottom of Queen Street. In fact, I have to sometimes wait for him to move off until he's done his deal before I can go and park up. So that, putting 22 bedrooms in that facility, it's wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's a high area of crime and it's a social problem.
Any HMO that I know, and I've been in and around Manchester and I know a lot of people, anywhere they are, nothing good comes of them. It's always something going wrong and the crime goes up. And you're not telling me that they'll be all working, decent class people, they won't be. And I'm dreading it, I'm absolutely dreading it.
I'll go back to HMO,
Excuse me, this one.
In the past, Shore and Crompton Council has recognised that there's an issue because you asked for funding the residents to fund security on Market Street. What else is going to be expected from the people of Shore when we know that it's going to be a situation where crime is going to go up?
Well, you see, we did explore avenues of private security. But because of costing and stuff, we've not gone any further with that yet, because we would need substantial funding.
I've been personally locked in boots because shoplifters are out.
Yeah, and I've been personally, I've patrolled the streets myself, because it's a blight on the community.
And this is just going to make it worse.
It could have, yeah.
Looking at what they specialise in.
Yeah, it could have an adverse effect on it, yeah.
It would definitely.
Also the noise, smell and pollution, what you put down here. They've got a bin area that's catering for a smaller population than what's going to be in there. There's going to be 22 people living separately in there. What's going to happen to all the rubbish?
Well, that would be up to the QO and BC to control that.
They're showing the cage what they've got, but they're not showing anything else.
Yeah, and everything will be done under. Everything will be done under guidelines of literage, because for your bins and your collection, they do normally in areas like this, where they do etch them on a more regular basis. Because I do know certain buildings, sure, they complain about the literage of waste.
Because you don't know they're going to do that.
Well, I presume so. They'd have to act within guidelines, but you don't know they're not going to do that.
At a cost to them.
They'll be coming from the council tax, wherever the funding comes from for you recycling them.
So the waste paid separately. Council tax in that way.
Nobody's touched on it. It does go ahead and 22 people are living in basically little rat boxes with no proper light. The mental health of those people who are then going to be out in Shore with mental health problems as well as substance abuse.
It's going to be a case of I told you so. Yeah.
Can I?
Sorry, this gentleman here.
Everybody knows that we've lost boots now. After how many years?
60 odd years.
60 odd years. We've lost boots because of the crime. Now we've got another one who's taken over, and they're locking the doors. You've got to ring a bell to get in.
Because the staff are being threatened by
It's ridiculous, and that's because we haven't got a police force here.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't no. What we say we do, but we don't really. But this again, it's separate items. I'm afraid.
Well,
Salisbury's took Mill, surely. Salisbury's took Mill.
Yes.
This lady here, remember the property.
Right. Shaw has gone down so much, and I read just recently on Facebook that 3 drunken young girls appeared in Shaw. Now then, there has got to be an attraction for somebody to travel all the way from Stockport into our town centre and then being molested, I'm sorry to say it, by Asian boys. So what are we attracting in Shaw? There is something somewhere in Shaw, as you know, youngsters speak amongst one another, for them to catch a tram to come to Little Shaw. So it's already here. the crime.
The crime is here. The tram network. The tram network brings a lot of crime because you don't have to pay if you don't want to.
Worst thing.
No, but what I'm saying is, your girls here, I mean, we have got various shops here, you know, these £1 shops.
But they're not just niche to Sean Crompton. They're everywhere, you know what I mean? I take your point, but they're not niche to Sean Crompton.
What we are talking about, Sean, we are wanting to keep our village, our Sean.
Yeah.
We don't want to have an influx of these HMOs which we've already got, but we want to stop it, and that's why we are here.
Yeah.
We need to look at of how we can make our town better.
That's the one, yeah.
And if you're going to bring these HMOs in, where are we going to go? People are trying to sell the houses, and all this will be populated by undesirables who white people don't want to live.
It's not all
I can't really, these comments are just going a bit too far.
Yeah, I know that.
You can't go on comments like that because like I said before, you can't class every person who lives in an HMO as undesirable because that's quite offensive to some people.
There is something here
so I'm just,
which is attracting something.
Right, so
I mean, there's plenty of houses being built. Why don't they just buy a couple of them and put these people who they want to help so much in them?
It's private investment.
But then again, are they going to build a new doctors or a new dentist for these new people coming into Shaw? Because I struggle.
Infrastructure's not part
I'm
of planning.
17th in line at 8 o'clock in the morning for my doctors. I'm like, bloody hell, 17th in line? It's ridiculous.
So what I wanted to say is, going on about the HMO, if it, you know, gets passed through or whatever. When the one at the Weavers came about, I'll just let everyone know, I didn't actually know that anybody had moved in. I thought they were still doing work during the night. I asked up at Oldham and I asked them to find out if anyone were living there. I found out, yeah, we're open up, and it's only now that crime has started to happen. Threatening residents, telling them that they've come out of prison and it's not good and the boats are coming through. Don't know.
At least you had that when they first did it on Moss Bank on Queen Street in Shaw, and these people just moving in, peeing right on the kids' park, getting the privates out on the kids' park, contacted Howard Sykes and everyone, and his receptionist accidentally sent me an internal letter with his name, Head of Greater Manchester Police and some other people telling me exactly what them people had done in there. They were prison released, rapists. The police were there every day. But still, it's fear of what's going to come. I've already been through it, and these
we can't just
people...
keep going down this line of what's going to happen.
I think most people
fear of, yes, it is. So there was a lady up there, and then I think everybody's got anything now. This lady's had her hand up quite a while.
It's not so much something new, and again, like you all, I'm a Derby, born and bred, my ancestors go back decades and decades. But what I'd like us to do, perhaps at least, is try and be a bit more forward with it. How many more are they expecting us to have? Let's be prepared for that kind of thing rather than try and find what's already been sorted.
You've got the Con Club.
What it is, and when you get this, it's private investors, so you've got your own property and you can privately do quite a lot with it what you want yourself. Which is, this is where the legislation sort of doesn't fit in with some of the stuff we're talking about, you know what I mean? We can't really do much about some stuff because it's private investors, it's not council. The council can, and if it's permitted developments, but rest assured, I think.
Who's going to pay to
I just wanted to say it's saturated.
Yeah, £1,000
You see, the Weavers should have been an 18-bedroom, weren't it? 19 bedroom, and they turned it to a 8 or 9.
That's what
these facilities aren't needed for people, don't get me wrong. They are needed.
Don't need that many.
There was also a caveat put in that it's staffing, it's not staff.
Just 1 second. So, yeah, they are a needed facility. So, you know, I'm not balancing anything anywhere. I'm just saying they are a new facility. It's whether is it needed there.
It's not.
So, what I want to do now is we need some other fresh points to talk about, or I want to bring this part to a close.
I've got a fresh point, which is something I noticed on Facebook. Preston Town Council had almost 1,000 HMOs in the vicinities. Obviously, Preston's a much bigger place than Shaw. Planning committee called a stop and said we're not having any more. Blanket ban on them.
We haven't got that power.
No, we haven't. But can we lobby for that sort of power?
Right, John,
that was facing there. One of the great things of Shaw is the memorial, and that's out of order completely.
Yeah.
One of the best things in Shaw, and that will be lower and lower and lower. We've had enough.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, weren't it Centrepoint that sent Oldham Council? Kirkpoint, sorry.
A bribe.
The PPP.
That was Kirkpoint, Elker.
Same director.
It's about the same if it's a different company on paper.
You know that receipt.
I know exactly what it is, but it's not the same company.
It's the same
directors.
And they've never filed accounts.
Just because they've changed its name. Same
What
company.
I'm saying is, registered company's house, it is a different company.
That's
all.
Company's a separate
It's also
identity.
registered as a charity.
It is registered as a charity, yeah.
Which is a bit dubious. Because
It is registered as a charity.
registered as a charity and never filed accounts.
It has filed accounts.
Hasn't filed accounts.
Stormont
Hasn't.
Can I just
Check
ask,
this morning.
and any of these
Check this morning,
people
they've never
who are
filed
buying
accounts.
these houses and setting them up, vetted by anybody? Or
EBS check.
Well, all I can say is, and I've looked into this site, and by the Kerr Commission, they've got a rating of good.
Yeah, but
That doesn't mean a great deal.
Well, it means the rooms are clean, perhaps. But in fact,
What I'm saying is,
we don't cover
as a
what we're
Kerr
doing in
facility,
town.
and you've asked the question, so I'll give you the answer. They've had other facilities, and they've been rated as good.
Who rates them? Oldham Council?
No, the Kerr Commission. It's available online to read.
Yeah, but when you read that, I mean, I worked in the bank and I looked at healthcare, so I know all about the CQC. They're going in and have set standards for what they need to be looking at. What they're not looking at is whether people in there are causing a nuisance in the town and putting the fear of God into elderly
I agree with
young
that.
residents.
Yeah.
They're just looking at the outside shell, bricks and mortar. Have they got a sink? Yeah. Have they got bathrooms? Yeah. Oh, tick, tick, tick.
You go and buy a 5-star kebab from a 5-star rating, and also you're throwing it at someone else's window. We can't help that, you know what I mean? The last point, I think,
That's why I just want to ask a question. We've got in this room parish councillors and OMBC councillors. Is it safe to assume, or can I ask the question, that everybody individually puts their hand up and says, I am opposed to this, or I'm not, as a councillor, be it parish or local?
Well, Borough Council is what we're voting at this.
No, I'm not bothered about that. I want a personal opinion. I want everybody in this room who is a councillor, parish or local to say, I'm opposed, I support.
Basically,
Because I take it, if anybody doesn't want to do that or abstains, in the same way that if you don't object to a planning application, it's taken that you don't object, I would say anybody who abstains as a councillor now and doesn't say I'm opposed is actually in favour. And if you
I don't think we can do what you're saying there, Greg, because what you'll see here is this is a committee meeting of the Shaw and Crompton Town Council Planning Committee.
And this is the public bit, and I'm asking a public situation.
Well, no, that's not something we can do, is to ask somebody who's a member, who may be a councillor, but a member of the public today, to make a decision for you to view. That's not right.
If I may, through you, Chair, that to your point, Greg.
Yeah.
When we sum up the comments, the committee will then vote on a recommendation based on, as you see, the candidate giving material grounds.
Will that be published as a committee decision?
Yes, it will.
Which we will be able to see
Yes.
individually.
You'll be able to see us voting tonight. We'll show hands.
It's not a recorded vote, as in individual councillors will say which way they're voting.
Right.
Yeah.
But as a collective, the committee will make a recommendation to Oldham Council as to whether it would support the application or whether it would recommend refusal.
Right.
So that would be a consensus.
So the assumption I'm taking from tonight is it's a opposition anyway from listening and so on.
Well,
You'll see us vote. You'll be sat there. Unless you're your eyes, we vote. You'll see who votes. It's under the committee what's voting.
The purpose was to elicit everybody's views, so we can then sort of crystallise that and say the material considerations that have been raised are the following. are they sufficient for this committee to recommend rejection or refusal?
And Lee, you're going to speak on behalf, I believe, at the council.
Well, that's a different matter, that's not tonight, no.
No, it's not time, that's what I'm just...
It should be part of tonight, that Lee, I do apologise.
The decision's got to be made by committee here tonight.
No,
That is
it's
what
got to
you're
be
saying.
made by the public.
No, I'm afraid the committee makes.
They can't nominate you to speak for us. Now that I do know.
You're not speaking for, no, I'm not speaking here, I'm speaking here as
Not
the
at
chair.
council.
As the chair.
We've been told that you
But
will be
that's a diff-
speaking as a resident at the council meeting
Yeah.
at OMBC.
But that's not tonight.
Who elected you to speak?
I can apply to speak.
Yeah, but who said you can? Because we didn't.
Right, well, if you don't want me to speak, I won't.
We want to be given a choice. You can't take our choice off.
Can you just lower your tone slightly, please, and
Why?
Well, I don't think
Because-
the direction is needed in this, that's why.
I'm sorry.
Are you
can I
had
just
ample
say-
time for speaking?
Sorry, I just, no, I'll just say, even though he's the chairman here, he's also a resident, and he can go
Right,
and
well, it's okay,
speak
Lisa.
as best as he.
Yeah, I understand that,
that's
Lisa, but I've been informed that we can only have one resident of Shaw speaking at Oldham Council.
Well, that's absolutely fine, but
And
if you can
it's up
find
to the
somebody that knows more about bricks and
Lisa.
mortar, that's fine. Go for it.
It's not part of tonight. You will see the vote by the committee to represent the town council's recommendations. That is what we're here to do tonight. Explain again off it. You know what I mean? We'll have plenty of opportunities here. And like I said, some of the band who haven't support there.
Thank you.
Councillor Sykes.
Quickly answer the gentleman's question. Yes, I am opposed to it. I objected to it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Thank you.
I've already requested it be dealt with by the planning committee because it was due to be delegated.
I can't ask him to do that though.
And the third point is I've
This is the
requested
difference.
to speak if the officers are mindful to approve it. Just so you know.
Thank
And I'm a
But I-
board member,
I can't-
that's
I can't-
my right.
All the people want to know is, have you
you
got
got our
councillors' support?
Well, you're
in
going
that?
to find out very soon, aren't you?
decided
This
if I
is this is the public debate. We haven't
Well,
got to the vote.
Can we get...
I'm here to encourage public debate between yourselves, a balanced debate, as the chair of this committee. And that's what's got to happen first. And then we will make decisions.
And can I just apologise for my outburst then, please? I do apologise.
Accepted.
So, just to wrap this up, if I may, through you, Chair, no more comments. The committee will now consider your comments and make a recommendation. But I'll summarise what I believe came across as the material considerations, which is what the planning officers need to know. I'm not going to read verbatim what everybody said because I don't do shorthand. But I'll do my best. That these that you've had circulated, I'm going to make specific reference to the ones that have been drawn out in the debate this evening. And they are the viability of the development, potential overdevelopment, and the point you've been making about even trying to fit 22 units into that does not seem feasible. Privacy matters and the impact on local character. Noise, potential noise and disturbance from any residents or inhabitants of that building. The big one is fear of crime, which is a material consideration. And there's quite a number who've actually articulated that. That fits in with this criteria, if you will. Economic impact as well. Loss of business infrastructure potentially. And all those, if you look at this, the one at the bottom is a key one, cumulative impact. So you can actually draw all those material considerations together that you've articulated to the committee. So at this point now, the committee will make a recommendation based on what you've just told us.
Well, we're going to have a debate first.
Yeah.
Sorry, the committee will consider what you've told us and then vote on the recommendation. That's the process, so that answered your question, Brent.
Yeah, so moving on to that then, like I said, can you please give the councillors the respect they deserve in these matters to their views, you know, in a public meeting, and you'll hear exactly what's said and you will see how the vote's gone as well. Councillor Severance.
I agree with everything that's been said tonight. I live in Shaw. I have 2 young children who walk about in Shaw also. I'm just going to quickly go through just the notes that I've made about the material considerations and what I think it fits into. that health centre was unfit for purpose for a health centre.
Yeah.
So if it's unfit for purpose for a health centre, in my eyes, it's unfit for purpose if it's not going to change that much in terms of its structure and design. For 22 people to live there, I think somebody else said that as well. So the design and visual impact is one for me. We've already talked about, I'm not going to repeat whatever we said, prior to daylight, sunlight, the noise. I'm particularly concerned about Laburnum House being so close, bordering the car park. So out of all our society, the most vulnerable people in our society are those elderly, frail people who have got multiple long-term conditions. Access for where it is on the main stretch there, turning right into Queen Street to get round the back, and the traffic. Health and safety, very, very small flats or rooms with lack of natural light and ventilation. Fire safety issues, possibly limited escape routes. In terms of the crime and the fear of crime, that's the biggest one for me, really. Then Memorial Gardens is the centrepiece of Shaw and mean a lot to a lot of people, including me. So we don't want people spilling over into there in the communal area, causing trouble and the risk of crime is big, I feel. The economic impact, you talked about the businesses and the shops. Planning history related decisions. And I know there's been no other planning application because it's change of use from a health centre to this. I'm not sure whether we can take into account the previous planning applications that this company have done in terms of what they've done in other places and the care of them places. No. Okay. So there is a bit of history there about the same company not managing their other HMOs very well.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, but that might not be able to be considered in this case then. The other thing was the cumulative impact on our town, which it's our town, it's where we live, and I have not heard many people, I've heard a couple of people, not many, that saying there's not many people that are telling me that this is the right thing for our town. I've lived in a HMO, I must say, in a balanced view, when I was a student nurse, and it was the right thing at that time for me in the place where I lived, and there were lots of HMOs, so they can be managed well in terms of as people need them and when they need them, but this is not good for our town. I think that's all I made my... The only other thing really is the social issues that, you know, it is a company that specialises in people who are particularly vulnerable in terms of their social problems. So that needs to be taken into account really when we're talking about crime and impact on services such as GP surgeries, community services, mental health services.
Right, so I've just got a few points I can maybe add to Glen's, for instance. You know, I've done quite extensive research into this, and you know, even down to the room sizes and floor spaces, which are verging on ridiculous, to be honest. You know, I work in building trade, and I'm managing a facility at the moment on the new build side, and it's for vulnerable people similar to get back in society, and their room floor spaces, just by example, are between 40 and 50 square metres per room. We're talking 13 metres, 13.5 metres. This is not a good application for the people who are going to be living there for my money. It's an historic part of our town. The memorials, gardens, cenotaph, Grange Rower to be new town hall. It's a historic place. It is, from my view, it's just not, like I said, it's not in the right place or anything. They're not looking after the residents, from my view. It's a pack them in for pennies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is how I see it. The room sizes are ridiculous. You've no seating areas, you've no well-being areas, you've no outside well-being areas. People who are vulnerable, they call them, the new words what they're going about now are called breakout spaces. They need to release, they just need they need training. They might even need to be trained how to cook, training kitchens. These all happen in good facility developments. But this, to me, is not one. So, you know what I mean? And all these materials, what have been said by yourselves and my concerns, they all stack up to the cumulative impact of it. Yeah. But the viability of development is another key one because of these room sizes and the lack. These facilities could trigger mental health issues in many individuals. who are vulnerable. There's no outside spaces, they're not doing anything to the outside. It's minimal costs for more rooms, you know what I mean? Let's see it. It's a minimal spend, maximum return. But so another avenue, what we think we may be able to go down is the Article 4 direction, where it is where you can get the Class C quashed for the permitted developments. It's what they're going for. They're going down the Class C route for the permitted developments. It's the change of use. And once they've got the Class C development there, the change of use is not the part of the planning of what they're actually going. So if you can invoke an Article 4, it withdraws the permitted development rights to change to residential. So that's something we're going to explore as well.
Can I point out, Mr Chairman, there's a gentleman who's been posted on Facebook who's got experience, I think it was his fiancée, living in an HMO run by the same company at Jackson's Pit, and the things they've seen in that particular property are all the concerns that people have raised here, and it's the exact same company. It might be something you might be able to investigate further.
Yeah. Well, like I say, sometimes you're under time because of inspectorates and inspections, and they do publish what they've got, and that's where you've got to be tied down with that. But if there is cases to cite, it could be, you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, so we have to public, yeah.
Can I just say something? Where Lisa lives, there's a pub there. Yeah. And what happened there, I went down myself because they wanted to put 18 rooms. They went back to the pub and they went down to 9. And what they've done, if you ever use the pub, which I did.
What we need, Councillor Peck, is the reviews on this particular one. Not
no, I'm just saying.
I know, but we need to be specific to this one.
They blocked it all off on the front. So where Lisa lives, whoever's in there now does the back way, so you don't know who's coming and who's going. And I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah. I'm also passive regular.
So, Councillor, is that Councillor Becker?
Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Another material one I've got here is the drainage there. They've had major problems with the drainage in the health centre. And it, like you said, it's not fit for the purpose. So there's definitely the
well, that does come under the viability of the development.
Yeah, but it's not good at all.
Noise, smell and pollution, but it's not something I'm personally aware of. But.
Yeah.
To summarise, I think a lot of people are singing off the same hymn sheet, shall we say. There was a lot of comments made online about this. Not every comment was against it, I must add. Well, yeah, but it might be only 4, but like that's why I said that one of them people might have been in this room tonight. That's why I have to respect and all that. But let's say so. Yeah. So now we're going to move on and take this to a vote and a proposal of some.
I think quickly. I think the point was raising.
We're finished with
I don't want to raise this because I think it's important. When it goes to planning, the reaction is going to be, I suspect, as they did at the Weavers, is they will reduce the numbers, reduce the plan, etc. It needs to be represented at the council. We do not want this at all, whether it's 5, 6, 10, 22. That's a key point.
But the other thing we can do is vote on this one. Yes, it is. We can only vote on this application. We can't vote on an application what's not there. They might come back with a different application. Then it'll come before.
You can, and we should represent the fact that this is a blanket no, not a no to this, and come back with a authority, and then come back with a 12.
We can only vote on this application.
I know you can. I'm just putting this out there.
Right then.
The feeling is it's
another feeling.
And it's gone forever.
Yeah, gone forever. So we're going to go to a vote. So we need a proposal of some.
I propose that we go to the vote now.
Oh, yeah, we've gone to the vote, yeah.
So that it's rejected on the material considerations that
Recommending for refusal?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll second that.
Can we just need to go through the considerations and why?
So are you okay to go through if I was go through them and you summarise them?
Yeah, it's fine. But what I was going to say, just for obviously the public's benefit, this meeting is being recorded. So the comments that we've tried to take on board and then categorising the material consideration, we've got the benefit of the recording to refer to. So it's difficult to go verbatim through what everybody's said, but I think there's almost a blanket agreement that perhaps the majority of the material considerations here apply.
Yes.
So just to summarise, as Councillor Hints has suggested, the viability of the development we consider as overdevelopment, and also that the space does not adequately accommodate 22 units or living spaces, which in itself could bring about problems for those residents there. Issues with privacy and daylight, and certainly from the adjoining properties and neighbours, and the care home, the Burnham House. This could be detrimental to that as well. Noise and disturbance, again, is a material consideration. There may be, again, we'll get onto fear of crime in a second, an expectation that this will give rise to further noise and disturbance in the locality. Fear of crime probably goes without saying, because you've all articulated something along those lines as to if this were to be approved, what the impacts and implications would be in terms of potential increased crime and criminality within the area, which, as we point out, we're trying to reduce by various means. And the economic impact as well. I think there was comments about, how will this attract any local businesses or investment into the town? Well, this will be a perceived major problem or deterrent into doing that. All told, also Council has mentioned about access and traffic, possible accumulation of that, again, to a detrimental level. All in all, they would lead to a cumulative impact.
Which health and safety as well, we talked about overcrowding.
Thank you. And health and safety.
Lack of natural line ventilation, fire escape.
Thank you. These will all be captured when the recommendation goes to Oldham. It will be, sorry, we voted. We're going to go to the vote now. That was a summary as best we could, but thank you for all your input on
So
that.
it hits most of them too.
There's not many it doesn't hit, we're saying. We're putting forward considerations which are nearly all involved there, and I think that's.
So that was a whistle-stop tour of the material considerations which seem to have been invoked by all the comments. So I think if members are
I propose that we reject the
on those
refusal on the many material considerations.
And we mentioned the debated as well.
We have a proposal, we have a second,
And I'll second it.
All those in favour? So it's a recommended for refusal.
Did you ask if there were any against, Chair? I'm being slightly facetious. So,
sorry, I thought I missed someone then.
But for everybody's benefit, the Commission just voted to recommend refusal on those grounds that I've tried my best to summarise, but we've got the benefit of the recording if I need to actually add any additional detail into that. So, there.
But just for, like I said, we did have to have a balanced debate, and there's other sides to the corner, so I'm sort of like somebody who had to bring some of those up and some of those out. But so we'll move on, we're not quite finished yet.
That's the end of the...
Yes.
That's it, yeah, you're sending the plan application,
Thank you.
Thank you for your attendance tonight. So we move on to item 5, which is the dates and times of future meetings, which is Tuesday at 6:30 on the 8th of April and the 27th of May 2025. With that, bring this meeting to a close. Thank you.